I'll be talking to you about Korea. So let me first welcome you. Annyeonghaseyo. Welcome, if we say in Korea. We refer to Korea as dynamic Korea. That reflects the optimism and the industriousness of the people of the land of the morning calm, which is Korea's nickname from hundreds of years ago. As you see, Korea is located between China and Japan. It is surrounded by the sea on three sides, and the country is divided between North Korea and South Korea. North Korea is a communist dictatorship. South Korea is a democratic republic. The official name of South Korea is the Republic of Korea. South Korea has a government similar to ours with its legislature, a judiciary, and an executive branch. However, the Korean president serves only one five-year term, and he cannot succeed himself. The capital of Korea is Seoul, Korea. It's Seoul, very close to the demilitarized zone, and it's one of the more expensive places in the world to live. Here you see the national flag of Korea and the national flower, the Rose of Sharon. According to a legend, Korea was founded by a person named Dangun, half man, half god, who gave the country the name of Land of the Morning Calm. For most of its history, Korea has been ruled by a king. The early part of the 20th century, Korea was occupied by Japan, but after World War II, Korea became independent again and became known as the Republic of Korea. In 1950, the Korean War started when North Korea invaded the South. See a picture of World War II General Douglas MacArthur, who led an invasion which saved South Korea from communist domination. There was never a peace treaty, but both sides agreed to a truce. And North and South Korea are separated by the demilitarized zone. This is an area that is 155 miles long. It goes from the east coast to the west coast of Korea. No weapons of any kind are allowed inside this zone. Korea is mostly mountainous. 70% of the country is hilly or mountainous. Korea has 4 distinct seasons, and it gets precipitation in all 4 seasons. Rain in most of them, and in winter they get a lot of snow. The Korean language, the alphabet, was developed in 1443 by a king who said, I want an alphabet that is very easy for my people to learn. And so his scholars sat down and designed the alphabet. Here you see it on the slide. It's known as Hangul. Very easy to learn. Traditional clothing is called the hanbok. I'm wearing an example of the hanbok. However, today most people wear the kind of clothes you're wearing, Western style clothes, and the hanbok is reserved for special occasions. There you see pictures of a couple of traditional Korean foods. One is kimchi, which is a very spicy vegetable dish, like radishes, cabbages. Another popular dish is bulgogi, which is similar to our beef or pork barbecue. And rice is served with every meal, including breakfast. If you're studying a martial art, you may be learning Taekwondo, which is a very popular form of weaponless self-defense. The people of Korea are very homogeneous, one race, and they have very strong extended family ties. Education, Korea has 12 years of schooling just like America does. However, very few Koreans drop out. That's considered a great shame if you drop out of school in Korea. And in many schools, the students are required to wear uniforms. If you have a product made by Samsung, an LG cell phone, you have something made in Korea. If your parents drive a Hyundai, a Kia, or a Daewoo automobile, they're driving a Korean automobile. Now we'll show you a video in which you'll get to see the contrast between the old and new Korea. And we hope you like it. And after that, we'll go on to our next presentation.
The Republic of Korea was officially established at the end of World War II and became a democratic country with an elected president. But prior to 1910, Korea was a monarchy, with a king ruling the country. We present the king and queen's formal clothing from the Joseon dynasty between 1392 and 1910. The color gold was specifically reserved for royalty throughout much of ancient Korea's history. The royalty show their elegance by wearing impressive costumes, embroidered with insignia on the front and the back, and adorn themselves with head decorations, necklaces, rings, and many precious jewels. Next, we present the traditional Korean wedding ceremony. Even though nowadays westernized weddings are more popular in Korea, the traditional wedding ceremony is still performed to keep the traditions alive. For the traditional Korean wedding ceremony, the groom wears a black hat and a blue cloak, resembling the clothes worn by high-ranking government officials in ancient times. This ceremony usually takes place at the bride's house. After arriving at the bride's house, the groom will first offer a wooden goose to the bride's mother as a token of lifelong fidelity that the couple should follow in their future married life. Since geese mate for life, they are very meaningful symbols. The groom then walks to the east side of the wedding table, and the bride walks to the west side. These east-west positions signify that the husband is the head of the house, and the wife should respect the husband. The bride then bows twice to the groom, and the groom bows back once to the bride. Then the bride bows twice again, and the groom bows back once. The bowing represents the promise of commitment to each other. The helpers then wash the hands of the bride and the groom. In doing so, they symbolically cleanse themselves for the ceremony. Each of the helpers then pours rice wine into small gourd cups, which were made specifically for the wedding ceremony. The bride's mother grew the gourd and cut it in half and made the 2 cups, symbolizing that 2 are now 1. The bride sips the wine after the groom sips it. This wine drinking signifies the unity of the new husband and wife, as well as their life of harmony. After the wedding ceremony, the bride and groom bow down to their parents. Then they serve the finest wine to the parents. They serve this wine to pay their respects. Then, as the bride and groom sit together, the parents-in-law throw dates, a popular fruit in Korea, into the bride's skirt, thus giving them the blessing of many children. Dates signify riches, honor, and male heirs in Korean society. This is the traditional Korean wedding ceremony.